Soldiers laughed when Ozzy picked up the rifle during Army visit, until he started shooting Beverly Hills, California. Morning sun spilled across polished marble floors as Sharon Osbourne slid a cream-colored official envelope across the breakfast table. "Ozzy, darling," she said softly. "I've got something, and don't roll your eyes yet." Ozzy Osbourne looked up from his mug, fingers still wrapped around his coffee like a lifeline. His faded ring clinked against ceramic. "What now, Sharon? Another award banquet? Another charity ball?" "I told you, if anyone asks me to wear a bow tie again," Sharon smirked. "Relax, this one's different. The British Army wants you to visit one of their training bases. Morale-boosting equipment showcase. Apparently some of the new lads are fans. Imagine that." Ozzy blinked twice. "The Army? Sure, I'm 74. What am I supposed to do? Sing them lullabies between grenade demos? Maybe." She shrugged playfully. "But they want you. And I think you'll enjoy the equipment." That word hit him like an electric jolt. "Equipment?" Sharon smiled. She knew him too well. "Yes, love. Real equipment. And don't worry. I told them no red carpets, no over-the-top treatment, just treat my husband like anyone else." Ozzy leaned back, amused. "So you want me to walk into a British Army base dressed like some random bloke at a pub? That's the idea." He laughed, raspy and sincere. "Then hell yes. Let's give the young lads a surprise, shall we?" He didn't know it yet. Neither did Sharon. But this trip would become the most talked-about moment in that military base's history. Whispered in halls, retold at training nights, passed down like legend. A cold English wind swept through Salisbury Plain as Ozzy stepped out of the armored vehicle. Faded jeans, black leather jacket. No entourage. No softness in his step. No weakness in his eyes. Just Ozzy Osbourne. Human. And yet, more than human. Colonel James Mitchell walked forward, hand extended. "Mr. Osbourne, welcome." "It's truly an honor." Ozzy shook his hand firmly. "Just call me Ozzy, Colonel." "Mr. Osbourne sounds like I should be paying taxes." Mitchell chuckled, then leaned slightly closer. "Some of the lads think today's just a celebrity show and tell." I didn't correct them. Thought they could use a surprise. Ozzy smirked. "Oh, don't worry, Colonel. I plan to give them one." As they walked toward the training arena, 5 soldiers stood in formation. Young, strong, hard eyes, but not yet sharpened by life. Sergeant Michael Thompson, confident jaw, squared shoulders. Staff Sergeant David Harris, lean, sharp, the kind who thinks with speed, not depth. Private Jake Morrison, boyish face, restless ego. Private Sam Wilson, smirking, arms crossed. Private Luke Bennett, serious eyes but still naive. Thompson saluted. "Sir, welcome. We've prepared basic equipment for you today." Ozzy raised an eyebrow. "Basic? What am I? A schoolboy on a museum tour? Give me the real kit." A few soldiers exchanged glances. Quiet snickers. Jake whispered, "Think he can even lift a rifle?" Sam muttered, "My granddad still does chin-ups. Bet he's fitter." Luke smirked softly. "At least he's trying." Ozzy heard every word. He didn't flinch. He'd heard worse, on darker nights under louder crowds. He simply smiled and said, "Right then, lads, show me what you've got." They handed him the SA-80 rifle, slowly as if afraid his bones would crack under the weight. And then, his hands transformed. Finger discipline. Magazine check. Chamber check. Safety check. Shoulder lock. Breath steady. Weight balanced. The soldiers' smug grins died in their throats. Boom, 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 boom. 4 shots. 4 identical bullet holes. Dead center. The range officer's jaw literally dropped. Sergeant Harris whispered, voice trembling. "He's trained." "Properly trained," Thompson swallowed. "Sir, where did you learn that?" Ozzy lowered the rifle with perfect discipline. Northern Ireland, Falklands support tours. Sometimes when you sing for men in war and someone teaches you how to survive war too. Well, swallowed the training ground. The soldiers who thought they were babysitting a harmless old rocker suddenly stood, straighter. Respect had arrived, not loud, not forceful, just undeniable. For a moment, no one breathed. 5 young soldiers, trained for war, stood frozen, as if the sound of those 4 flawless shots had cracked open their worldview. The smell of gunpowder drifted in the cold air. Ozzy lowered the rifle slowly, like he'd just finished conducting a symphony. No swagger, no ego, Just calm mastery. Sergeant Thompson stepped forward, voice steady now. Respectful. Sir, permission to ask in who trained you? Ozzy smirked slightly as if remembering ghosts from a lifetime ago. Let's just say, when you perform for men who face bullets instead of crowds, sometimes they make sure you know how not to die. A subtle shiver rippled through the soldiers. Not fear, realization. The old man they had mocked. He had seen things. Learned things. Survived things. Private Jake Morrison, earlier cocky, now humbled, cleared his throat. Sir, we owe you an apology. Ozzy turned to him, eyes warm but sharp, like steel that has been tempered, not broken. No apology needed, son. You judged what you saw. That's what soldiers are trained to do. Jake swallowed. Yes, but... Ozzy raised a finger, gently cutting him off. What matters is what you do after realizing your judgment was wrong. Silence again. But this time, it wasn't arrogance holding their tongues. It was respect. The colonel watches from a distance, Colonel Mitchell observed, hands behind his back, face unreadable. He had seen generals speak. He had seen war veterans advise. He had seen politicians visit and pretend they understood sacrifice. But this was different. A rock legend, dressed like a retiree, was teaching his soldiers something years of training. Manuals couldn't. Humility without weakness. Strength without noise. He whispered to his adjutant, "They'll remember this day longer than any parade." Ozzy's quiet lesson. Ozzy placed the rifle down gently. Every movement precise, like ritual. "Lads," he said, stepping closer, voice low, the kind that commands attention without demanding it. "Never underestimate anyone." Sam Wilson nodded slowly. "Yes, sir," Ozzy continued, tone suddenly serious, cutting through the crisp air like a blade. "You see a man old and assume he's weak. You see a kid nervous and assume he's useless. You see a quiet one and assume he's harmless." He paused, letting the weight settle in. Wrong assumptions kill quicker than bullets. Private Luke Bennett, the one who smirked earlier, stared at the ground. Ashamed, Ozzy put a hand on his shoulder. "Chin up, lad. You learned today without bleeding. That's a blessing." Luke looked up, eyes shining with newfound respect. "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir." The colonel approaches again. Colonel Mitchell stepped forward, clapping once and not loud but solemn. "Gentlemen, I believe Mr. Osbourne has just taught our unit one of the most important lessons in soldiering." Then he looked at Ozzy. "Sir, would you care to continue with our advanced drills?" Ozzy grinned. That mischievous grin only legends and madmen have. "Oh, Colonel, I haven't even warmed up." The wind on Salisbury Plain cut sharp and unforgiving as the training continued. This was no longer a celebrity tour. This was a proving ground, and Ozzy had shifted the entire atmosphere without raising his voice once. Colonel Mitchell nodded to Sergeant Thompson. "Prep the tactical drill," Thompson barked commands. Targets reset. Moving silhouettes lifted. The range lights flickered to life, red to green. A more advanced course on speed, accuracy, movement. Staff Sergeant Harris stepped beside Ozzy, respectful now, not smug. "Sir, this drill simulates advancement under fire. Quick bursts, movement between cover, breathing control under stress." Ozzy wiped his palms on his faded jeans. A quiet ritual from stages, from sound checks, from battlefields that weren't battlefields but had felt like them all the same. "Sounds familiar," he muttered. "Only difference is one of your crowd shoots back." The soldiers chuckled nervously. Harris lifted the rifle again, offering it this time like an honor. Not a babysitter giving a toy to a child. "Ready when you are." Ozzy rolled his shoulders once, joints clicking, age showing, then vanishing as focus replaced time. The drill begins, target pops up, and tap tap, 2 shots, perfect center. Ozzy moved, slow but steady, not reckless. He didn't rush. He flowed. Another target, tap tap tap, controlled bursts, textbook. He dropped behind a barrier, knee touching ground with practiced instinct. Wind swept hair from his face. Breath slow, hands steady, eyes sharp. A soldier whispered behind him. "He moves like a man who's been under real threat." Another murmured, "I thought he'd wobble holding the rifle. He's smoother than half the lads in my platoon." Third silhouette and moving fast. Ozzy didn't chase it wildly like an amateur. He tracked, waited. Breath, and tap center mass. Even the colonel flinched in respect. Finally, he stood, lowered the rifle, and clicked the safety with the casual ease of someone handling a microphone before a final chorus. The soldiers' reaction, they didn't cheer. They didn't shout. They stood silent, like students in front of a master. Sergeant Thompson's voice cracked slightly as he spoke. "Sir," that was Ozzy interrupted, gentle. "Son, it wasn't perfect. But war, real war, isn't about perfect. It's about surviving the imperfect." Luke Bennett stepped forward, hesitant. "But sir, how do you stay calm like that? Under pressure?" Ozzy looked at him with eyes that had seen stages, riots, chaos, knives, bullets, crowds like oceans, and quiet. Always the quiet afterward. "How?" Ozzy repeated softly. "By remembering that fear means you're still alive. And calm isn't the absence of fear. It's the agreement you make with it." He looked each soldier in the eye, like a commander marking men before sending them into battle. "You feel your pulse. You taste panic. And then you say, 'Not yet. Not today.' And you move." Luke swallowed. "Yes, sir. Not because of rank. Because of earned reverence.